When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Doni.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor to the reverend and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks anyway. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. So, today's guest, this is a special edition, let me tell you. And we're talking about blockchain and crypto and all of that good stuff. There's actually a summit going on as we speak at Howard University. And our guest today, among others, will be Kamal Hubbard. Now, let me just tell you, I don't know too much about crypto. I know a little bit about setting up a wallet, and you get 12 words. And if you lose those 12 words, then you're in a world of trouble. Oh, my goodness. But our guest today is Kamal Hubbard. And Kamal is logging on, but he's at this summit at Howard University. It's going on, it's been going on for the past couple of days regarding blockchain and crypto and all of those fancy buzzwords that I know nothing about. It's called a Black Blockchain Summit. And, you know, we're just honored to be a part of this discussion. More and more people are talking about crypto. Kamal does a regular show on it. He's been, this particular summit, he's in collaboration with Dfinity and the Internet Computer Protocol as a part of this cooperative effort with ICP Hub North America. He'll be covering this intriguing layer blockchain. And of course, he's at this Black Blockchain Summit. So he's there collaborating, meeting with other project founders, other blockchain enthusiasts, and to say the least, this young man is super duper excited. So if you have any questions on blockchain, on crypto, write them down, get them together, get your questions together, because we should have the premier expert on the line with us immediately. Now, clearly, he's from the West Coast, because here on the East Coast, you know, we don't play with time. Time is money. Money is time. He said that he's still getting the guests together, but of course, we are live and we cannot have any of that. So we'll just see. Bear with me a second. Well, yes, sir. We are live and waiting on you, sir. How are you? You are live and on the air.
Okay. Well, I am getting in the StreamYard right now. I'm just waiting for my internet to connect, and I will be right on.
All righty. All righty.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So again, we're talking with Kamal Hubbard regarding the Black Blockchain Summit. And the summit will bring together blockchain enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and thinkers to discuss a myriad of key challenges facing Black communities around the world. One thing I have learned is that those proponents, Black proponents of crypto, blockchain, and that whole universe, find this to be an alternative to the traditional banking route. They are not fans. That's my general take on it. They're not fans of the banking system. And when COVID hit, and the pandemic, and let alone the economic challenges back in '08, back in '01, these things threaten the well-being of everybody's livelihood. I remember when Barack Obama first took office, that was the very first thing he had to do back in '08 was address the financial crisis that not only the United States found itself in, but the world. And the corporate bailouts of the CEOs with the golden parachutes. Remember, that was the talk of the day. So there was a lot of reason, a lot of motivation behind some alternative means of financing, of finding money, of getting money. And, you know, I'm just thinking of the show we did earlier today talking about the future of journalism, how it was so important to us who started websites like Black USA, Be More News, to have an option. Traditional media wasn't working, and similarly in the banking world, crypto found its way. What they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and so here we are, a whole new world, 2023. We're talking about wallets, and not the kind of wallet you slide in your pocket, but the kind of wallet that has to do with crypto and blockchain and a whole bunch of computers and all of the goodies that come with that. So I just want to thank you, Kamal, for leaving me in a pickle as if I know a darn thing about crypto. By the way, make sure you check your email. I sent you a notification about the White House tomorrow. Haven't heard back from you. But we know we still have jet lag. Yeah, you got to check your email.
Yeah.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Donnie. You know, it is always a pleasure to be on your show, to be asked on your show. As you can tell, live here from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., a stone's throw away from you in Baltimore. So I appreciate you having me on. And as you can also tell, you know, I'm still on West Coast time, so I'm running a little behind here, and I apologize for that.
You know, I don't know if you know anything about basketball, but that's kind of, you know, West Coast versus East Coast.
Oh, well, I know a little bit about basketball. I probably don't know as much as you do. That's for sure.
Well, we love the Lakers. I love the Lakers. I mean, I'm a Magic fan for life. Magic.
Oh, yeah.
James Worthy, even some of the newer Lakers. Of course, can't forget to mention Kobe. But yeah, we're on East Coast time now. So it's chop. What you got going on? Tell me about it.
Not a lot. I'm here at the Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University. And so this is the 6th annual Black Blockchain Summit that I'm attending. And it's been very interesting so far. I met a lot of great folks, and looking to have one of the attendees join us here momentarily. But, you know, you're really getting to see the best that our community has to offer when it comes to blockchain, crypto, Web3, and it's just been an amazing time. It's almost like, to a certain extent, a family reunion, but it's also an opportunity to meet new and other folks And it's like I said, it's very exciting, and we all get to be here in one place, and it's a great energy.
So let me just ask you, have you been to the previous blockchain summits?
No, I have not. So I was a previous media partner, and just helped to get the word out in the first couple of years, and then COVID hit, and so everything went virtual. And actually, most of today's program is virtual. So most of the folks who are doing panel discussions and addresses are actually coming from outside of DC. But tomorrow will be mostly in person, where most of the people are flying in and doing their addresses. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow and seeing a lot more folks here. There's a good amount of folks here, but there's going to be even more tomorrow.
Okay. So the other question is, how is it for you? Because to my knowledge, California doesn't have any historically Black colleges, universities. How's it feel to be on the campus of the Howard University?
Well, it feels great. And so I'll say this, I am a graduate of Florida A&M University, and Texas Southern University. So I'm a double HBCU grad. It's a little bit different out here in DC, but I'm not new to an HBCU.
Okay. What do you think of Howard?
Howard's beautiful campus, beautiful people. And my brother actually went to med school here. So, I've been here a couple times to visit him. And it's great to see young minds interested in really just the pursuit of knowledge.
So what about, so tell me about the flavor of this Black Blockchain Summit. What's the mentality? What's the spirit? Help me to understand the countenance of the summit.
Well, it's really showcasing a lot of, once again, our great minds that are in blockchain and Web3, and what they have going on, whether it is education, books like yourself, or any other sort of things. Fortunately, I think we're catching some feedback. I'm right next to our next guest here, Mr. Eric Guthrie.
Good deal. Eric Guthrie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, about yourself, Doni?
I'm doing good. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background?
So I'm also an HBCU grad. I went to Morehouse College.
There you go. I try to tell him it's only one school in Georgia. This lady last night, let me tell you, she tried to tell me it's a bunch of. I say, no, lady, there's one school in Georgia. Why wouldn't she listen to me? I was born in Atlanta. I don't care.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm definitely have a love for HBCUs, but of course, Morehouse is a special place in my heart and in my life. So, but HBCU love, we're here at Howard, like Kamal was saying. So, my father also went to Howard. He was in the Howard Dental School, which is right across the street. So whenever I'm here, I think about him because that's his alma mater. But back to me, I am an attorney. I've been practicing in the crypto and blockchain space since 2017. The author of the book, Blockchain or Die. It's Amazon #1 bestseller 5 times. It's won 3 book awards. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm also creating a diversity NFT that I hope to be dropping in the rest of 2023. And I'm also be writing a sequel to Blockchain Die. It was so successful, and it got me on so many stages and so many clients that I said I need to update the content. So the next version of Blockchain Die will have metaverse, NFTs, level 2 blockchains, all things that have happened since 2019, which is quite a bit. So the book will cover that as well. And final piece, I am actually in negotiations to do blockchain courses at 2 HBCUs to make sure that our youth are prepared for tomorrow today by giving them the benefit of learning this technology while it's still relatively in the early adoption phase.
So let's go back to this background of yours. I'm hearing Barrow. I'm hearing a little, New York City, New England, and something up that way. Where you from?
So I was born and raised in New York, Brooklyn, New York, and I moved to Long Island after that. My parents and I moved to Long Island, but also for the very, very acutely attuned ear, they can hear some Jamaican. My father was from Jamaica.
Wagwan.
Well, go on. so, so yeah. So, and actually, to bring this into the crypto space, I've been doing a lot of talks with the ambassador to the U.S. from Jamaica, as well as some politicians to bring some blockchain and cryptocurrency efforts into the Jamaican and the Caribbean community. So I do want to make sure that not just our people here in the U.S., but our people in the Caribbean have access into and the same opportunities that we're trying to give them here in the U.S. For example, at this conference, do the same thing in Jamaica and the Caribbean islands.
Okay, so by way of introduction, this is my first book, Unapologetically Black. It's autobiographical in nature, and yes, that's the White House, which you are just not far from. And
stone throws away.
Yes, sir. And this is my second book, I Am Black Wall Street. And what's particularly meaningful about this is, one, we do mention Nani, the Maroon Queen, on a $500 Jamaican bill. We mention Nani in this book, and we also mention Weeksville in this book. If you're from Brooklyn, then you've been to Buffalo Avenue, and you may know a little something about the Weeksville Heritage Center founded by James Weeks, which was for lack of a better term, a Black Wall Street. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There's actually a number of Black Wall Streets in the U.S. There's one in Charlotte. There's one in Brooklyn. There's some in the Texas area. So unfortunately, history does not give them the credit they deserve, because it would show the power of us doing communal business with each other and rising above the oppression that has really been levied against us for centuries. So they tried to destroy that. Well, they can destroy the buildings. They can destroy, the businesses temporarily, but they can't destroy the spirit. And once
let me just say, Oklahoma has 70 to 80 Black towns. East Texas alone had 500. 500. Yeah. And they never taught us this.
No, it's right. And the funny thing is that I learned about Juneteenth probably about 20-some years ago, before it became popular. And I was so mesmerized by the story that, they kept the freedom from these slaves for years. And finally, when they learned, they were actually, went on and lived the rest of their life in freedom. But, it's just becoming popular now, but it was being celebrated, 20-some odd years ago, in many different states and many different venues. And I gave a speech about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology in Juneteenth 2 years ago, and how if we had transparent and we had communications that could be distributed across communities without having to go through a centralized, quote unquote, racist source, then we wouldn't have had to wait years to become free. They wouldn't have had to wait years. They would have learned about it because it would have been transparent, verifiable information. So I gave a whole speech about that, and it was extremely well received, because when you put blockchain and cryptos in context, it can impact every part of our lives, even historically speaking as well. So that's why this technology is so important. It really is a game changer, and does bring a lot of opportunities to what we can do as a community.
Well, I have to bring Kamal in on this. Kamal has been our guiding light over the past couple of years, ever since we connected, and he has made sure that at least this audience has been aware of the changes and the development. So Kamal, I'm gonna pass the ball to you. I know you're on you want to unmute yourself there and jump on in. You want to guide this ship. This is your thing.
Yeah, well, anyone who is in the area and wants to stop by the Black Blockchain Summit, it's here at 2201 Georgia Avenue, I believe, here in Washington, D.C. There's an open door, and please join us tomorrow. I'm out here, obviously, representing and collaborating with the Internet Computer Protocol Hub North America. They are major contributors to the Internet Computer. And I'm here to speak with students and other attendees about the Internet Computer and the various grants programs for communities as well as developers. So it's a great program, and I'm trying to get as many people who look like us, hence why I'm at the Black Blockchain Summit, to understand what the Internet Computer is and how it works and how it can help your projects or your community of people who are interested in blockchain, your community of blockchain enthusiasts. So that, and of course, here also with my book, DeFi for the Diaspora, where I'm talking about how we can leverage DeFi to create a more sustainable and equitable global economy through decentralized finance. So having a great time so far. Like I said, seeing a lot of familiar faces as well as some new faces too. So Doni, I appreciate you taking time out, inviting me back on the show, as well as having Mr. Guthrie, Esquire.
So you want to lead the discussion here, Kamal? I mean, you're
I
much more driver than I.
I was going to say, I mentioned in my book a little bit, but I'd like Mr. Guthrie to tell us a little bit more about his book.
Okay.
So thanks, Kamal. So Blockchain or Die is really a book that brings all the technology and all the learnings about cryptocurrencies and blockchains in plain, easy to speak language. And that's one of the best things I've heard about it from folks that say, Eric, you really break it down. You break it down with stories, you break it down with scenarios, and you really help unpack the complexities of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies in this book. One of the most reviewed things about this book on Amazon.com is every chapter ends with a success strategy action items section. What that means is after you read the chapter, then I give you things to do so you can actually use what you learned in that chapter. So I'm a global trainer. I train all over the world. And when you're training adult learners learn by doing, not by reading. I mean, when you just read and read and read, those are college days, right? When you're an adult learning, you learn by doing. So each chapter ends with things to do to be able to give you the experience to use blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. Even if it's a small thing, downloaded some types of apps or attending some types of conferences like this conference, for example, it gives you things to do so you can learn. Now, the next version is going to be even more intense than that because I have a surprise on way I'm going to be rolling out the success strategy action items. One thing about blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies is that it's always evolving. If you're not evolving with it, then you are not staying in pace with this technology. So I have to evolve too. I can't preach it and not evolve with it. Now, this book is not necessarily a tech book. It's tech adjacent, if you will, because it is still a hard copy book, or you can download it from Amazon. But I do provide ways in this new book, the next version I'm writing, to be much more technologically connected with the information than just reading it in the book. So that's a quick summary. You can find it on Amazon. The ebook is 99 cents. I essentially give away the information. I want our community to really have this information. And what I tell people to do is to buy 10 books, keep one, and give 9 away. That is the price of a Starbucks coffee. But you're giving away the power of information, the power of the future. And this could be really used to bring our communities into this fold where it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry that's being built. And we are not at the table nearly enough. Mm-hmm. But to get to the table, you got to know what it is, you got to know how you can get involved, and how to monetize it. And that's what Blockchain or Die does.
I've got a couple of questions for you. So one, I've just returned back to school to finish up my master's. 2 semesters and I walk with a master's in journalism, and I'm looking specifically at the future of journalism, digital journalism, newspapers. As was said earlier today, newspapers are on a gurney, and this whole digital news, including TikTok. I had to get on TikTok just to go right to the heart of one of your recent statements. I had no interest in TikTok, man. I remember MySpace.
Right.
But now I'm thinking, what's next? What's around the corner? What's coming next? And so, like you, if I'm going to be a practitioner, then I have to stay up on it. But here's my question for you, counselor. You mentioned teaching it at HBCUs. Now, the thing is, this technology is changing faster. You know, traditionally, you could have a textbook and the course, and that knowledge would be good for a year. What you teach this week might not be good next month.
Well, that there is some truth to that, but the foundations of what you learn in blockchain and cryptos, that does not change, right? The advancements change, the updates change, right? The new coins, the new blockchain applications, those change, but the foundation is still the same. And you really should learn that before you get involved in those advancements and those evolutions, because then you won't have the foundation. So blockchain or die is going to be
Like
a textbook
algebra.
at least, exactly, right? You learn algebra before you learn differential equations, right? So blockchain or die is going to be a textbook in at least 2 HBCUs because it gives the foundation. Once you understand the foundation, then you can, update yourself with the most recent technology. And here's a quote that I love that really kind of encapsulates this. Bruce Lee said, first you learn the rules, then you master the rules, and then you break the rules, right? So you can't go right to rule breaking because you haven't learned them and mastered them. So what we're doing, a lot of us in the blockchain space, like Kamal and myself, is we teach them the rules. And then we teach them how to master the rules. Then what they do after that is up to them. And that's what we're trying to encourage.
Okay, so here's the follow-up to that. As HBCUs, one thing, and this is not a criticism of our beloved HBCUs, and I can really tell you that the graduate program I'm in at Morgan, it's 95% virtual.
Okay.
But I remember a couple of years ago, I'm seeing all of these universities, Harvard, I'm seeing all of the traditionally white institutions, they've got the online component. And I'm saying to myself, damn, we're missing it. Our HBCUs are missing this online component. How does that work with blockchain?
So I'll answer 2 ways. So, the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, was a tragedy. We had millions of people that died globally, but there really was one silver lining to the cloud, which was HBCUs were required to actually adopt and create, virtual course content. So, schools like Morehouse and Howard and Hampton and Fisk and FAMU, they really were relying on coming to the campus, being part of the culture, the HBC, which is so rich and so vibrant and so necessary that, they weren't really focusing on online courses. But then they had to. 2 years had to be put into virtual courses for the HBCUs to survive. So now some of them are actually integrating that into their the curriculum. I know Morehouse is. So we have seen that transition. Now, to answer the question another way, there are ways that we can actually create even more advanced learnings in the blockchain space. And one of them is in the metaverse, right? You take courses in college and you can take virtual like this using Blackboard or what have you, but you're not really in the blockchain space. You're not in high-tech world because Blackboard has been around for well over a decade, probably even 2 decades, right? Now, in the metaverse, where you're actually teaching in a virtual classroom where everything is being done either on a centralized server or on a blockchain, because you don't really need to have a metaverse be on a decentralized blockchain. But there are companies that do that. That's much more advanced. And what it's also doing is teaching the student how to use the technology. And if they learn how to use it, they'll be able to create products, services, and engage more with their community because they're using it on a day-to-day thing like attending school. So the things that we can do to make it available to them so they can be successful with it, we just have to do it more often.
Do you see this spreading like wildfire? We can't afford to be behind this curve with blockchain. I mean, you mentioned 2 or 3 HBCUs. We need you now. We need it at Coppin, at Morgan, at Bowie State. We need them at University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, the 4 HBCUs here in Maryland and everywhere else. How do we get the other HBCUs on board now? We don't have tomorrow.
Well, yeah, so I agree. I mean, as usual, we are behind the time. We're behind the 8 ball. We're always playing catch up. And this was an opportunity to be at the table when this pie was being baked. This multi-trillion-dollar pie was being baked. It's being cut up, but it's not too late. So the way I respond to that is in 2 ways. One, we need to create some really good professorial trainer programs. And if we can do that, then we can, teach them how to, rather than how to fish, rather than giving them fish, teach them how to be fishermen and fisherwomen and pull this money out of this system that is designed to have, a new currency, a new blockchain technology, new products, new services. The other thing I'll say is, unfortunately, no one wants to be the first one to try and do it and not succeed. So we're going to have, and that's one thing I'm trying to do, have one or a few HBCUs successfully implement blockchain technology courses. And in that way, when they say, oh, this school is doing that, oh, damn, we can do it too then. But no one wants to be the first because the fear of failure is too strong. Well, guess what? I love failure because you learn from it and then you make a better product or you make a better service. So that's what I'm doing with the HBCUs I'm involved in.
You make a hell of a point. When I started, so this is blackusa.news, but the mothership, our flagship is bemorenews.com, which is 21 years old. And I remember being one of the first that's out there, and that staying power is very, you don't want to be the rabbit. You don't want to be the rabbit in the race because the rabbit doesn't win.
Right, the tortoise wins. Yeah.
So you're looking around and you're constantly adapting. Come on in, Kamal.
Well, I'm on mute, so. What I did want to say is on the flip side of that. So Eric is right. We have to find a way to teach blockchain in schools properly in a way that the students can pick it up, take it to the higher levels of graduate school, or take it into the private sector and become business leaders. There's a lot of us that are doing that already. But on the flip side of that, the students who have this passion for blockchain and want to find a way to tap into it and get experience, even though it's not being taught at their schools, they can find me. Like I said, that's part of the work that I'm doing with ICP, the Internet Computer Protocol, is to find students, once again, who are looking to break into this industry. ICP will work with you to create a blockchain club at your school or a blockchain lab at your school so that students can be self-driven and be their own catalyst in learning this technology and learning more. So, hopefully if they're not students in Professor Guthrie's class, then they can work with me and they can band together with other students on campus and do this once again in their free time. And ICP will find a way to help support them do it. to do it. Excuse me.
So let's get back to you, Counselor. How does the legal world keep up with a technology that's ever developing? Obviously, I mean, at some juncture, I imagine the Supreme Court, some case is going to go before the Supreme Court where there's no precedent. So just like us journalists, and we're delving into the digital technology, and they call people like us imaginaries. You are a legal imaginary. Where do you see the legal angle coming? How will lawsuits go as it relates to blockchain? I mean, what do you foresee happening?
So great question. The first will answer is that the law is always 10, 20 steps behind technology, because someone can create code in their basement, roll it out, and it could hit the streets the next day, and it could be distributed to hundreds, thousands, millions of people. Well, if that code changes the very fabric of some legal or regulatory structures, then someone has to be aggrieved. There has to be either a lawsuit, there has to be some type of complaint to Congress or legislative body, then it has to be a response. If it's in a lawsuit, then it has to be, cases, litigation filed, discovery, motions, et cetera, before it gets into front of a judge. That can take years, quite frankly, right? So the legal system is not designed to be something that's a rapid response, with a few exceptions, like maybe with injunctions, things of that nature. But overall, it's not designed to be something that's rapid response, because it's designed to be deliberative. It's designed to be, people coming together to create a better legal product, and not just one person just snapping their fingers and creating legal decisions or legislation that may not serve everybody. So that being said, you see now, like, for example, there was the suit against Ripple, and in the Ripple suit, the issue was, well, is the Ripple token is it a security? And the judge in New York, the Southern District of New York, ruled that the token itself that people buy off of exchanges is not a security. But when Ripple made agreements with institutional investors or institutional organizations, that contract they made it a security. So it was kind of, I won't say it's like splitting the baby like King Solomon, but there was that, which I think was actually a very legally logical way to decide the case. There was the fact that, if you buy a cryptocurrency, if you buy Ripple off an exchange, you have no agreement with Ripple. You only have what you bought from the exchange, right? So that was the difference. So now SEC is suing Coinbase, is suing Binance. There's a whole bunch of, in different jurisdictions. One's in New York, one's in DC. There's a whole different set of issues involving securities exchanges, right? Because Binance and Coinbase, their exchanges, not necessarily just a cryptocurrency, even though Binance has a cryptocurrency.
Well, I have to jump in here. We have just been joined by the founder of the metaverse. Okay. He's not the founder of the metaverse, but we have STEM City USA. And so, Doc, let me just take this banner down. But these guys are at the Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University. Kamal Hubbard, he does a show on our network, as you well know. And
absolutely.
Attorney Eric Guthrie, a Morehouse man, need I say any more? Plus, he's from Brooklyn, and he's got roots from where Gene Hamilton's from, Jamaica.
Hey, listen, first of all, just so you know, I'm in a public setting, so if I pop off, there's a lot of noise. I'm in Detroit. I'm here to support Hill Harper, who will be the MC for Women of Color Conference here in Detroit next month. And so I'm here to support his campaign. But again, I'm in a public place, so if I pop off, it's because I just want the audience to know I'm not being rude. There's a lot of noise around me.
Well, one of the things that Eric was talking about was blockchain. Well, Eric, why don't you help me? So Doc here He's closing the digital divide for Black and brown people. He created STEM City USA, and it's our safe space in the metaverse.
That's right. That's right. And blockchain, as you know, when we talk about blockchain, what we're really talking about at the heart of everything is the decentralization of data on the web. So what blockchain is allowing us to do is to decentralize all of this information on the web. Blockchain is also of the decentralization of data also means that you're able to create digital assets, which is something that you've never been able to do with the internet, right? Because all of the data is always the people who control the servers control the wealth. With decentralization, now we shifted from being able to control the wealth through servers to being able to control wealth through the transfer of data. Would you guys agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, so I agree. The way I like to describe it is that, you know, Web 2.0 is the commerce of information, right?
Yes.
And the commerce of connectivity, because when when the internet first came out, it was just basically information. Web 2.0 came out with social media and other ways to create greater ways to communicate to greater numbers of people. You can have 10 million followers, right? So
Right.
before an email or something like that, or a chat was one-on-one, but now it's 10 million. Web 3.0, like Doc is saying, that's the internet of value. And the internet of value means that you don't need to have a credit card or a bank or a PayPal attached to something to buy something off of the internet. You can use the value of the token that's associated with that blockchain, right? And that's what's so powerful about it, is because the value is inherent in the internet, and that took almost 30 years for that to happen. And look at the internet back in the 90s. It's so different than it is now. When we fast forward 20 years, everything we're saying is going to be second nature. Kids are going to grow up not having to have known what it is to put a credit card on the internet. They'll have tokens that they'll be using on their own, and it'll be second nature for them, because we're in the transition phase. They won't be.
That's right. That's right. And that's why it's so critical what we're trying to do in building the metaverse as being a platform. It is the ability to have commerce. You have to have e-commerce, which is what we've done with our financial exchange system. So I'd like to talk to you guys about that offline. Our community does not understand we're going through a major transformational moment right now. A moment that's as important as when the microprocessor was created. The ability of trillions, I'm not joking, this is a $1 trillion industry, and nobody's in front of it yet. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Facebook hasn't, or Meta, whatever they want to call themselves, Google, none of them have figured out the right platform. Apple hasn't figured out the right platform. I think we've created the right platform, but we shall see, who wins, either beta or VHS. But the point is, somebody's going to win. And what you guys are doing and what you're talking about, we've got to raise the alarm, because this is the last battle in the digital divide. If we do not participate, if we do not win here, I see the heads nodding. This is the battle of our lifetime anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
Eric, I hate to be redundant. Can you show him your book? Oh, we just lost him. It just went out.
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
This is my book.
I'm still here.
Blockchain or Die.
Oh man, I'm sorry I didn't bring my book, the Metaquake USA. But can you send me a copy of your book? Doni? Can you get that for me? And I'll put
Absolutely.
I also publish U.S. Black Engineer. I'll make sure we review your book and get it out there, okay? I'll get it out. I'll get it out to our membership.
Tell them what the book's about.
So Blockchain or Die breaks down blockchain and cryptocurrencies in a way that the average person can understand it. The first half of the book is more so on the crypto side, and the latter half is on the blockchain side. But it really gives the way that a reader could actually use the information. Each chapter ends with success strategy action items, so they can actually read what's in the chapter, and then they'll go and they can go do it. As a global trainer, I know the benefit of actually having to have my people do something rather than just read it. That's where you really learn, and you get those sticky learning points that will become so helpful for their future use of the technology. So, this is the first edition. The second edition is coming out probably by the end of the year. And
Love
I
it.
have some evolved techniques in that book and in the revised book to be even more helpful to readers.
Hey, Eric, I'm going to jump to the other panelists we have. I want to ask you a question. Why do you think, what are the challenges? Why is our community, two questions here, and I'm going to go, I have to turn off the camera in a second. But two questions that I have for you. Number one, what are the challenges of our community really grasping what's going on right now? That's one. What are the challenges? And number two, why, how do you break it down for our people to really understand why this thing is so important of what we're going through?
I'd love for Eric to answer that, but I think Dr. Taborn directed it to me. So, I would say right now it's crucial. Just like Eric said, we're in a transition phase, and we need to change our mindset from being consumers of the web to actually becoming innovators now. And an example, just like Professor Guthrie said, putting it into example, a few months back, there were some TikTok creators, some Black TikTok creators who created dances, and then some people from outside of the community picked up on those dances and got more attention for it. In a Web3 environment, what those TikTokers could have done is created the dance, minted an NFT, and anyone who subsequently uses that dance, they would have to buy that NFT or a fractionalized piece of that NFT to actually do the dance on subsequent TikToks. So now you're creators in this whole Web3 space, and you're getting paid. And there's also the concept of decentralized identity as well, where your identity, me being Kamal Hubbard, and I'm interacting with different platforms and data providers who are paying me for the data and how I interact with them. Now, instead of me just having my cell phone
Right.
and I'm walking everywhere and all the apps on my phone are taking the data off of where I am, what I'm buying, what I'm doing, listening to me 24/7, and presenting ads to me. Now those advertisers would pay me. Once again, my identification could be something in the form of an NFT or a token that they buy, and I get a share of those advertising dollars.
Hey, see,
So
Donnie, that's what I've been telling you. Digital, it's called digital agency, right? And I've been telling you exactly that no matter how many people are listening to your show, it doesn't matter because Facebook and YouTube, they're getting all the ad revenue and you're producing all of the content because you have no digital agency, unlike what we're doing at STEMCityUSA.com. Where you do own, you have digital agency, and we also are moving there. I mean, that's an excellent point. I keep saying that, and you've broken it down a whole lot better than I could ever do.
no, well, I absolutely admire and respect and acknowledge all the work that you've done, Dr. Taborn. So I appreciate having the opportunity to be on here with you today, as well as Professor Guthrie,
Wow, thank
excuse
you.
me.
You're
And
blowing me.
I'll let you guys do the rest of the talking. I'm always on here with Doni, and we're always talking. So I like to hear more from you guys.
Well, I actually like to ask Eric a question, since I see the law degree behind his name. One of the biggest challenges that we have, and we're doing a lot in AI, we actually have we've actually created a AI digital library where we're right now in machine learning that goes behind our entire platform. So over 40 years of data of all Black engineers, women, Hispanic, that's all being dumped into a model. And a teacher will be able to go in after December. That's how close we are to this situation. After December, a teacher will be able to go into the platform and ask for a lesson plan. And we'll be able to generate this stuff. And also on our platform, anybody doing anything will be dumped into the library. But Eric, my question to you is for a lawyer dealing with the new frontier of artificial intelligence and how this data is being kicked out. What are some of the opportunities and challenges? Because this is a whole new frontier.
It is. Thank you, Doc. And that's a great question. And actually, I teach this in my legal blockchain certification course because there are opportunities and there are challenges. I'll start with the challenges. The challenges is that the law is not settled in this yet. So there's a lot of cases that are just starting to spin up, and lawyers are having to create arguments that are based on prior precedent that's outside of the crypto blockchain space, but somehow it's tangential or makes sense. The other thing is in the regulatory field where you have regulators relying on legislation that was written back in the 20s and the 30s, and they are having to apply it to the crypto blockchain space. Now, some of the laws like the Securities and Exchange Act or the Commodities Exchange Act, all of those have very general catch-all phrases in terms of the type of investments or commodities that can be covered. But there's been a push to actually write regulations that are specific for the crypto and blockchain space. Until that's done, lawyers don't have the exact answers on how to respond to these things. They can make arguments and estimates based on the laws and the regs that they are right now. But here's the opportunities. The opportunity for an attorney that's in this space is, first of all, to be at a cutting edge legal profession, which is the crypto and blockchain space, a legal practice, because it's not being done yet in a broad scale. The attorneys that were on the cutting edge of internet law back in the 90s, they did extremely well. And here we are again. This is a paradigm shift for our generation. Every generation has a paradigm changing event. The internet was for us, for 20 some odd years ago, and now we have cryptos and blockchain. And the microchip was mentioned before. That was another paradigm shifting event. And notice most of these paradigm shifting events are in technology because it impacts every part of our life. So the other thing that attorneys can do is they can educate themselves and they can market themselves as an attorney with experience in this area. Now, someone like me that's been doing it for about 7 years, I can say I have 7 years experience. So a new attorney may have to kind of ramp up to be able to, have that type of education and experience dealing with these kinds of issues. But the sooner you start, the sooner you can actually, down the road say you have all this experience. So don't wait, start now.
Okay, Morehouse, man, it's me and you. So one question I have is, what's the association? What's the national association? And then on the same tip, what do we do globally? We can't mention Jamaica, US, and not even think of Africa in the big scheme of things, especially if we're talking about something that can level the playing field. So the first question is there, just like in the Black newspaper industry, there's the National Newspaper Publishers Association, or there's the National Association of Black Journalists. what is the Black national organization for crypto and blockchain dialogue?
Yeah, so there's not just one. I mean, right now we're at the Black Blockchain Summit. This is probably one of the premier events and premier, like networking opportunities for folks in this space. So, I mean, I would lead with that, and obviously because Kamal and I are speakers here. We're here. We're talking to people from this morning, and we'll be here all day today and tomorrow. I do think that there are other colleges and there are other organizations that there used to be a Black blockchain consultants, but I think that's actually no longer in existence. But there are a number of organizations, not just one, a number of them that provide opportunities for our people to be involved in this space. Globally speaking, I mean, there are some global organizations, like, for example, the Government Blockchain Association. Matter of fact, they're having a conference here next week where I'm actually speaking on that conference as well. And they have at least 10 to 15 countries involved with their organization. And there are a number of other global organizations as well. So, I mean, the bottom line is, in terms of Africa, I mean, Africa is really, I would even call it the birthplace of cryptocurrency. Here's why I say that. Most people don't know
this. Well, you look Ethiopian too. You could pass. I've been to Ethiopia. You could pass for Ethiopian.
Never heard that before, but I'm honored because they're very beautiful people. So there is a digital currency in Kenya called M-Pesa, M-P-E-S-A, and it's used on the cell phones, and it's been around for over 20 some odd years. And they did it because the cell phone provider realized that there were banks in Kenya that could not service the rural community, but they had cell phones and they had internet. So it created M-Pesa. Now, that's a digital currency used on cell phones. There's nothing tangible about it at all. That was around before even Bitcoin in Africa. People don't realize that. M-Pesa, E-M-P-E-S-A.
You're absolutely right on that. Hey, let me throw out this challenge real quickly. Your conference next year. Why? Black Engineer of the Year, 11,000 people attend. We're going to be in Baltimore. Why not do something at? Why not bring some seminars in February on this issue to Bay? I mean, why are we doing? Yeah, good. So, Donnie, can you make that happen? Because we are doing all of these things and they're not scalable. I mean, we've got everybody showing up at Baya. This is the 38th year of Baya. You got 11,000 people. Bring the content. I'll give you the space. Let's make it happen. Can we make that happen, Donnie?
Absolutely. Bet all the tea and shine on it.
All right. Yeah, and I'm only here in Silver Springs, so I can just drive to Baltimore and be part of the conversation very easily.
You tell me how we will figure this out. We will give you X amount of seminars. The organizations you mentioned, you still should do your own conferences, but how can you avoid 11,000 people who show up? The leaders in industry, CEOs. Why? Often we are all doing our own thing. And, when Northrop loses a contract and Lockheed gets it, guess who subcontracts? Northrop subcontracts to Lockheed. It's just who gets the check.
Right.
We don't tend to tie ourselves together. Okay, so we're going to make that happen. You guys hear all the noise. I'm going to have to go. I don't want to mess up your show, Donnie.
Yeah, and just so you know, I've attended Baya for many, many years. I used to be in United Technologies.
Wow,
and one year, even one of our executives won the award, the Engineer of the Year of the Year award. So I've been to Baya.
Who was that?
It was Hansel.
Yeah. He was. Hansel was at.
He was at Pratt and Whitney.
Raytheon at the time, right?
Well, he was at Pratt and Whitney. It was before it was purchased by Raytheon.
Yeah. Okay.
Hansel Tukes, I think his last name was.
That
But
is his name.
I haven't thought about him in over 10 years because I left that company 20 years ago. So I used to coordinate Black Engineer of the Year presidents for United Technologies when I used to work there.
I'll be doggone. See, I mean, you see, this is a small world, and that's why we all work together. United Techno. Oh man. Okay, great. Hey, Donnie, thank you for reminding me to hop on the show. Like I said, I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of, I'm in a public place.
You're
But
hanging out with Hill Harper. I can't be mad at you.
All righty. Well, I'll tell Hill you said hello. Okay, man?
Thank you, big brother.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everybody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you more.
What a small world, man. You've been to Bay before. It's coming back to Baltimore. Baltimore wasn't taking care of it, man, and it's finally coming back home.
Yeah, I probably went to about 7 or 8 of them before I left the organization. I also been to NSBE and SHIP and SWE. So I've been to all of the engineering conferences, also Black MBA, Hispanic MBA. I used to speak at both of those conferences, at Black and Hispanic MBA, for many years before I left and went into different parts of the non-mechanical engineering world. So yeah, I'm very familiar with those conferences.
You've been merging law and technology for some time now. This is, I guess, a staple of your career.
So it has been, actually, even though back then I wouldn't envision it being what it is now. But yeah, I mean, I would go and, coordinate with hiring managers to try and bring more diversity into our organization. I actually totally redesigned the diversity recruiting process for 2 Fortune 50 companies. So not so much legal, but more so process improvement and diversity and inclusion, because no one else was able to do it, but I was able to figure it out. And the most important thing was communication and expectations. The executives had different expectations of the conferences and resources, but they wouldn't resource it, and they didn't communicate well with all the stakeholders. Well, I came in and I said, look, I need the resources and I need the communication authorization to go out and do all these things. And once I did that, our numbers more than doubled in terms of numbers in the applicant pool and people that accepted positions. And I was able to achieve that because the one thing that was missing in every single scenario was we would send all these people to all these recruiting conferences, but we would never send the hiring managers. And I would see all these other conferences sending hiring managers. I said, okay, time out. No, this is no longer an HR thing. I want to have more hiring managers than I have HR people. And I want them to be hiring managers with open positions. And I want them to be able to do second round interviews at the conference itself. And when I tell you our numbers doubled at 2 different companies, that's an understatement. There's probably more than that. Resources, communication, expectations.
How do we get in touch with you, Eric Guthrie?
Well, I mean, you can get me through Kamal, but I will put my email in the chat. So anyone that wants to reach out to me, they can. And of course, you and I will probably talk offline about some other initiatives. But it's eric@blockchainordie.org. That's my email. You can find me on Facebook at Blockchain or Die. You can find me on Twitter at Diversify or Die. Now, Blockchain or Die is my second book. My first book is Diversify or Die. It's about diversity and inclusion, which I tell some of the stories that I've been telling you on this interview. And I'm making the NFT, the non-fungible token, on diversity and inclusion. So on Twitter, well, now it's called X, okay, which I will not make any comments on, but it's Diversify or Die. That in the chat. And on Facebook and Instagram is Blockchain or Die.
What a small world, man. And you know, I'm reminded that there's a place in this new world, even for a 29-year veteran journalist like myself. We did a show earlier again on the fact that the print industry is on a gurney, and this whole new world is digital. And I'll wrap this up. But there's still a place. But like you said, we have to stay involved. So this platform here, this StreamYard, I had been wanting to do maybe in 2019, and no one would teach me. And then I ran across StreamYard. A lady down your way, Peggy Morris, down in Prince George's County, told me about StreamYard. And now we're able to do a show. We've connected Baltimore, you're in DC, Doc's over there in Chicago somewhere. We've even done 4 shows live from Africa. So technology is changing, and we have to stay up with it, just as you stated.
And when I travel, I'm supposed to be going. I just came out from Sri Lanka a few months ago. I'm going to probably Thailand to do some training and leadership training in December. I'm happy to do a show from that country so we could bring more of a global audience to the Black USA Network. We
would love to have it, and it's such a pleasure. I gotta ask you, I gotta give you some. I gotta get some more. No, hold on, I can't just let you say you from Morehouse. Were you? You gotta keep this clean, don't we? Tell me your favorite Morehouse experience? How about that?
My favorite Morehouse experience.
Yeah, what class were you? Now I was only there 3 semesters, but I gotta tell you, it was the greatest 3 semesters of my life.
It was the greatest 4 years of mine. I came out with the class of '88. We call ourselves the Great '88 because we do so many impactful things for the school.
So you remember DC Metro Club? I was there 83 to 85. So we were literally there at least a semester together. And it was around
we crossed a year.
He was doing school days. He was filming school days.
Yep. Spike Lee came in '85, and he shot a lot of scenes at school. As a matter of fact, my roommate back in '85, he did open casting in the college, and like 3 people got a speaking part in school days, and he was one of them. He was one of the locals in the Church's Fried Chicken scene, where there was a conflict between the college students and the local in the community. He was one of the locals in the community. His name was Moses in the movie, and he had about 2 or 3 lines. But he was so excited to have that opportunity to work with Spike and with Roby Reed, who was the casting director back then.
I'm getting ready to pull your card. So look, we've been doing these awards, these Black Wall Street Awards, since 2011. We were recently in Atlanta, right across the street at the Absalom Jones Episcopal Center. One of our honorees was Mukasa Dada.
Mukasa, yeah.
You remember Mukasa?
Do I remember him? I still talk to him. He was just in South Africa last year, and his son was there. His son is there, and he still comes to campus every now and then. He still talks to us. He's still fortunately in fairly good health. So, he was definitely a mainstay, a staple at Morehouse, because if you sat down and talked to him, rather than having him shout out things in the cafeteria to try and educate us, if you sat and talked to him, you actually really understand that he is a very deep brother. He's mentioned in Malcolm X's book. He's mentioned in Malcolm X's autobiography of Malcolm X, Willie Ricks. And I did my...
I missed that. I'm going to have to go back and find that.
Yeah, it's in there. And you know how I know that? It's because for my senior paper in my communications class, they wanted us to interview somebody. Well, I interviewed Mukasa in my dorm room for about 4 hours, and people were just fascinated. I'm sorry. Yeah. People were just fascinated by the stories that he told me for my paper.
Global.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was there with X. He was there during that whole movement, and named and mentioned in the autobiography of Malcolm X. I mean, you can't get much more impactful than that.
Any final thoughts, sir? Thank you for joining us on our network. It's certainly a pleasure to meet you.
The honor was all mine. The pleasure was all mine. I thank you to your audience for listening. This has been a great program. I'm so honored to be a part of it. I will say the final words are get engaged, get involved, learn about blockchain technology, whichever way you do it. Kamal's book, my book, any book that you can read that is of high quality content, get involved and learn it. But I'm going to say two things that are extremely important. Never invest in anything you do not understand. If you don't understand it, don't invest in it. Don't jump in because of fear of missing out. That's the fastest way to lose your money. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to invest, never invest anything you can't afford to lose. I say these two statements literally in every speech, every radio show I do. Why? Because the fastest way for us to lose confidence in this market, in this new technology, is to get in without understanding it. Learn it first, understand it first, join organizations, get involved. Don't just sit and wait for it to come to you, because it's not going to come to you. You have to go and learn it and understand it. And then you will start your path towards the future of money, the future of business, and the future of the Black community.
Okay, I got one last question for you. This is a safe question. This is the last one. How did you choose Morehouse?
So I was in high school, and my best friend went to Morehouse the year before me. And Morehouse has a program where you send the freshmen send applications to two of their friends in high school. So he sent one to me and went to another one of our friends. And I'm sitting in homeroom, and the teacher says, "Oh, you've got mail." Now, who the heck gets mail on homeroom? I mean, back then no one did. So the whole class is looking at me like, why is Eric getting mail in homeroom? So I was like, okay. So it was an application to Morehouse. And I knew, his name is Rob. I knew Rob went to Morehouse, and I was considering it. But when I went back and did some research, I found out, the prestige, Dr. King went there, and the importance that Morehouse played in the civil rights movement, and the importance of not just King Jr., but Daddy King as well, and some of the other greats that graduated from Morehouse. I said, you know what? This is a school I want to go to. So I applied, and fortuitously, I got in.
Good for you. It's a pleasure, Counselor. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a beautiful interview, and I've learned so much. I'm inspired.
So am I, Donnie. I appreciate you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm looking forward to talking with you again.
Yes, sir. All the best. Good afternoon, everybody.